Welcome to Technology FAQ. I'm Hirok and today let's create this beautiful animated pop-up. So let's begin. Let's create the three files that we need, that is index.html, main.css and main.js. So in our index.html, let's give it a title of pop-up model. Then in the body, let's write our markup. That is, first let's create this this model button. Okay, so it will be button with an ID of model button. Then, and for the text inside, let's say open model. Okay, then next is a paragraph with an ID of answer. Here we will populate the text with the help of JavaScript. When we click on the button, then we get a text here. So this is the paragraph element here. Okay, so next will be a model element, then inside that h1, and inside the heading one, say, hey, do you want more videos? Then say we'll create a button group. Okay, so in this button group, let's create two buttons. Button one with the ID of yes, btn, it will be yes, text will be yes, and the other button will be no, and the ID will be no btn. So this is for the markup. Now let's go to the main.css and let's write our css. But before that, we have to link the css file in our html. So below the title tag, we'll write link css, and the name will be main.css. below that, let's link the javascript file. So we'll write script src, so it will be main.js, and we'll give it a defer attribute. Okay, that means after loading all the content, the javascript file will be loaded. Then now let's go to main.css. let's save it. Let's go to main.css. Before that, let's open it with live server. So you can find this extension by going to the extensions and by typing live server. Okay, you have to install this extension by each weekday. Then you can right click and select open with live server. Okay, so this will open this up. So this is the basic HTML right now. So now we are going to style this with CSS. So let's go to main.css, and first we'll import a font. This font that I'm using here is called Breeze Serif. Let's import it. So we'll write let's go to Google Fonts, fonts.google.com. then search for Breeze Serif and click it. Then select this style and then embed, go to embed and go to import and copy this. Okay, this import URL. So paste it here in our CSS file. So now let's do some basic reset here. Then in the body section, we don't need this grid here. We'll be using a flex. So we'll be display flex direction column, because if I simply use flex box, then you can see it will be arranged in a row manner. So we have to arrange these elements in a column, we have to use this property called flex direction, and it will be column. Okay, as you can see. Now say justify content center and align items center. Okay, now let's give it a position relative. We'll need it afterwards. Position relative. Okay, now let's design our button. So we'll say button and let's give it a padding of let's give it a padding of 0.5 rem for top and bottom and 1.5 rem for the left and right. And if you don't know what rem is, that means root em, and 1 rem represents 16 pixels. Okay, so 0.5 rem means 8 pixel and 1.5 rem means 24 pixels. I think 16 plus 8 will be 24, right? So for the top and bottom we'll give it a padding of 8 pixels, and for left and right it will be 24 pixels. Let's save it. Okay, next let's give it a minimum width, min width of let's say 8 rem. Okay, to make all the buttons similar width. Then a bit of font size of 1.25 rem. Then in body, let's delete this one, font family here, and let's use it in body. So we'll say font family will be Bree serif. Bree serif, and for the fallback we'll use sans serif. Okay, so the button, the fonts in the button are not Bree serif, so let's cut it from here and let's paste it. This one for every element. Star means every element. Okay, so we have this font applied to every element. Then for the button, after font size, let's say text transform is used to change the case of the text. Okay, so in the button we have to make it all capital, we will use uppercase. So now everything is in uppercase. So next the border none. So we have some border by default. Okay, so we have to remove it by applying none here. Border is gone. Now let's say, now if we click on this one we have an outline, so let's remove this outline also. Outline none. Now we'll not have any outline. Next let's say border radius to make the corners round. Okay, border radius, let's say it will be 5 rem. It's always safe to use a higher value around. Then let's change the background. Let's use gradient here. So background in CSS, gradient is actually applied as an image, so we can either use background or image here, background image. So we'll say background image will be a linear gradient. We'll say to right means the direction, so the colors will be applied from left to right. Okay, so now we will enter the colors. So the first color will be this one, a little pink, light pink. Then the second color will be orange. Okay, so this is the color. So for text color we use the color property. So we'll say hash fff. So F is for so F stands for white, fff. Then it is the highest value, and the highest value is white, and the lowest value, that is 000, is black. Now cursor and pointer, hover over this button, we'll see a mouse pointer. Okay, small hand. Let's give it a hover effect. Okay, so we'll say button and hover, hover, and let's change the gradient, and let's give it a transform property also to lift the button a little bit. Let's see, like this one. Okay, so the button goes up a bit. So in our hover we'll say background, let's copy it, background image. Then the color, the second color we'll change it to a little dark one, dark pink. So see, then transform translate y. Translate y means vertical movement of the button, so we'll say translate y minus 0.25 rem. If half rem is 8 pixels, then 0.25 rem will be 4 pixels, so it will go minus means in the up direction. Okay, see, but the animation is not smooth, so we have to add some transition here in the parental this the main element, that is button. So we'll say transition, and we'll write the name of the property, transform, and the transition, the duration of the transition will be 0.25 seconds. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it works. Okay, now for the button it's over. Now let's design the answer element. We don't have anything, so for now let's write something. So this is the answer element. Okay, the paragraph element. So we'll say answer hash its id. So for id we have to, in CSS, for selecting the id we have to use the hash, and to select a class we use dot, and for element we just write the name of the element. Okay, so this is an id, we are selecting it by the id of answer. Okay, so let's say hash answer. Let's give it a margin top, that is the top margin. Margin means blank space outside the element. Okay, so margin top, let's give it a 1.1 rem. 1 rem. Okay, you see there is some space between means at the top of this element of 1 rem, that is 16 pixels. Then go to font size, and let's increase the font size to 1.2 rem. Let's design the model. So position will be fixed, top will be 50%, left will be 50%, then width will be 100%, width of the element will be 25 rem, and height will be 15 rem. Okay, let's give it some background color for now, bg color, let's say ccc. Okay, for just styling this one. So let's do the border radius of 2 rem. Then let's bring it to the center. Okay, so let's say translate minus 50%. The first one is the x value, that is horizontal value, minus 50%, and y value will be minus 50%. This transform translate 50% is for the element. Okay, it's relative to the element. This 50% means the 50% of this element. Let's change the background color to white, fff. Okay, next let's give some box shadow 0 for the x value, 2 rem for the y value, then 5 rem for blur, then 0 for thickness, and the color will be black with some transparency. So we have this shadow, this light shadow here. Now let's give it a display of, then column flex direction will be column, justify content center, then justify content not center, give it space between, so that we get space between these two elements. Okay, now let's give some padding to the whole element, padding of 2 rem. Okay, now the text is not in the center, so let's say text align center. Okay, now let's design this button group, this btn group. Let's put some space between them, so we'll design model, and inside that the btn group is a class. So btn group, and let's say width will be 100% display flex, then justify content space evenly. Oh, we misspelled it. grp. Okay, now if we save it, okay, so these were some of the mistakes. Okay, mistakes happen. Now let's design the animation. Okay, so let's say when the model will open, when the model will have a class of open, then we'll add an animation. The name will be open, and duration will be 0.5 seconds and forwards. Okay, that means it will stay that way. And for another one, when it has a class of close, we'll animate this one. The animation will be close animation. So let's add the animation. So we use keyframes @ then keyframes, and let's give the name open, and so let's say 0%. At the very beginning of the animation we'll have transform of translate. The translate should be same as this one. Let's copy it. Translate -50%. Then we'll use a scale of 0. Okay, that means the element will shrink. Scale is used to shrink or enlarge an element. Then for 50%, we'll use the same transform scale, this property v, and the scale will be 1.2. okay, let's see it in action. Let's add the open class here. Model class of open. Okay, see, so this is the animation. So to give it a spring effect, by bouncy effect, we use 70%. We transform, we give it a 0.95. okay, then let's copy it. So next will be for 95% animation, say it will be 1.1 scale. Then for the last one, that is 100% animation, it will be a scale will be 1, means the actual size. Okay, then so this is the open animation. Now let's add the close animation. So for the close, it will be exactly the opposite one. So the 100% will be 0%, 95%, that means it will be 5%. okay, 100 minus 95 is 5%. Then 100 minus 70 is 30%. 100 minus 50 is 50%, will remain same, and this 100 minus 0 will be 100%. okay, so open. So let's change the name, so it will be close. So this is the closing animation right now. Okay, so let's change the name to close. Now let's remove this. We'll add this class programmatically using JavaScript. So let's go to main.js and let's write the JavaScript. First we'll add references to the model button. Okay, so we cannot see the button because we didn't put the scale here. Let's go to model and translate and scale. So the initial scale will be 0. Okay, so as you can see, let's remove this also, this text in the paragraph. Now this is the modal button, so we'll be adding references to the modal button, the model itself, and the answer element, that is the paragraph element. Okay, so let's say const model is equal to document dot query selector, say hash id. We can use the CSS selector in query selector, so it's easier. Then next one will be the modal button. Model, the id was model btn, and it will be model btn. Then next one will be the answer element, let's say ans equal to answer. Okay, id answer. So we have got the references to these elements. Now we'll add a event listener to the model button. So model button dot add event listener, and we'll listen for the click event, so it will be click. Then we have to add a callback function. Callback function means when this event will fire, we'll invoke this function. Okay, whatever it is inside this one. So say model dot class name is equal to open. So we'll add the class open to it. So now let's click on it. It's not working. Let's go to index. Oh, it should btn. Now let's click this one. See, it works now. So this is the model. Now when we click on these buttons, we have to close it, right? So we'll say model. Now we will add an event listener to the model. Model dot add event listener, and we'll use an event listener of click, and we'll pass the event object in the callback function, and we'll say, let's say if event dot target, the target that we have clicked, dot id of that element is equal to yes btn, then do something. Okay, so here add a message. Okay, so we'll say answer is the element, the paragraph element. Answer dot inner text is equal to yay. I have a lot of videos on my channel, go check them out. It's kind of a message to you all. So next if this one, so if next one, if this is not the yes button, if it is a no button, so we'll check it again. If else if e dot target dot id is matches no button, then we'll do something else. So the answer dot inner text will be equal to, oh no, okay, so next we have to close it. So else, if we click anywhere else, we'll return it. That means it will cause nothing. And at the very end we have to close the model. So we'll say model dot class name is equal to close. So we'll replace the class name from open to close. Let's try it. Let's see. Open model, it works. Yes, yeah, I have a lot of videos on my channel, go check them out. Okay, then let's click no. Oh no. Okay, so this was it. If you like the video, then hit the like button, share this video with your friends. So I have recently joined Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. I have a subreddit also, so I'll leave the link in the description, and you can see the link on the screens also. Follow me on my social sites to get the latest notifications if I post anything new. See you in the next video.